So I will call the meeting to order on time. What a novel idea. Okay, having called the meeting to order, the first thing on the agenda is the approval of the April 9th minutes. So I will make a motion to approve the minutes if everybody's had a chance to review them.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
I will second.
You will second. Discussion? My first thing is that under recognition of guests, could I change the name from Etsy to Esty?
No.
You don't like that one?
Well, I wish I had the money at Etsy, but I don't, so I'd rather use my name. I
And that didn't spell check?
probably did.
Oh,
Etsy was better. And here he is. We're just at, discussion on minutes, Rob. All right, having, we have to amend that motion to include the, correction.
I will amend my motion to, the changing of Susan's name.
And second,
I will second that.
okay. And any other discussion? We'll just continue the corrections down to preserve, update. I just realized I said spelled out. I didn't see this when I read you that. Oh, sorry. That's it. On the second page, all
Oh, gosh, yeah.
right, I'm not going to amend it the third time.
We don't have to, we did it after discussion.
I thought preserve time was still on it.
Okay, all those in favor of accepting the minutes, say aye. Any nays? Any abstentions? Okay, one off the top, there we go. Recognition of guests, I see there's quite a few, so I'll start behind us. Well,
Hi, I'm Gail Antonia, Ridgewood Drive. Was here before I went to Florida in December, asking about a dog park. Somebody on the commission mentioned that they thought there was something down near the transfer station. Since then, Pankowski's property is for sale. I thought perhaps maybe we could beg a piece of property from them. But I don't see anything in the minutes, and I talked to you at the last meeting at the town. I wonder what's happening with it. Am I coming to the right place, or should I be going somewhere else?
no, this is a place for obtaining property for a possible dog park, but I also suggest the Board of Selectmen as well. But
I
thank
remember
you.
a few years ago, and it was several years ago, when I went to Carl, he suggested I talk to Mrs. Esty. So,
That's okay. We do it back and forth, but we would need the Board of Selectmen as well, so we'll include them. Thank you. Going on, I know you're our liaison from.
excuse me, is there no discussion since I've been here then?
I can bring that up under new business, under any other programs if you'd like. Okay, we'll do that. I'd like to do that. And I see there are people over on this side, so I'll start with you right here. Okay.
Connor, Little League, along with the rest of the group here, one of the items on your agenda today.
Okay, thank you. Any correspondence? Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, no.
Oh, the whole line is literally,
Yeah.
okay. Any correspondence?
I have
No correspondence. Review the bills?
I have an item for discussion on the review of the bills.
Sure.
Ray, would we be able to get this pulled, sorted either by like from, biggest expense to lowest expense or by vendor? I feel like the date's not as relevant for us when we're looking through these. I don't know what the other members feel like. But it would be kind of nice, like to have all the, if it's all. So that everything's together. We're looking at like how much we're looking at tennis stuff. Maybe maybe we need to do it by description, but I feel like date's not the most efficient ways to check through this stuff. So put it in a sortation that makes a little more sense for us to look through.
Okay.
So I don't know what the other members feel like.
Yeah, I agree. By description, it's probably the best, so we know what the expenses for. Cumulatively.
So you know, it's just a review. It's not, you can't change the bill.
No,
Yeah.
no, but that way it's just current in a more, because I think by date, it's just kind of like all over the place, you know, and I kind of go through and look for like, well, what's the biggest thing? I think if they were in a different kind of way other than date, it'd be helpful. The other thing is, do you know how we're running as to our budget? Do either one of you know where we are in terms of over or
We
under?
have about a month and a half left in the budget cycle. So we go to June 30th. Of the 4 budgets, we're still within our range for where we should be. They're running around 92 to 94% expended
As a total,
for each individual.
for all of the,
Parks budgets.
for where we should be at the end of the year?
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly, yeah.
Okay.
There's certainly we have a lot more expenses come springtime than we do in December. So as I run the budgets, I have to keep that in mind. Some line items are over, that happens. Some are way under.
I'm just wondering if we're gonna end up with a surplus or are we gonna overspend?
It wouldn't matter if you wouldn't with the surplus or anything, because it all gets swept into one,
I just want to,
yeah.
whether we're on track, we did a good job,
We are
really,
on track,
yes, I mean, okay, all right, and that's,
give or take.
Yeah.
Yeah.
give or take a percent or two, okay. So does that mean at the end of June, we should be right at 99% and
Well, that's the goal.
that's the goal,
That's the goal. That's what I'm saying.
right? So we're on track,
We're on track with that. I mean, really, we don't know the final till July 15th. We have 15 days of bail. On the bills.
yep,
So. Sure we'll be over in a few items. Sure we'll be over a couple budgets. How far? I do what's the break?
I was more just concerned if there was any surplus,
There may be. But it all depends really.
because we didn't do our big ribbon cutting thing.
It's just great.
I know.
But yeah, I mean. It's hard to tell what we'll have for surplus. It really is. There's certain things that we have to get done. Some we're gonna go over.
Might be helpful if that's a number you can bring each month to the commission. Just how we're doing as opposed to the budget. I don't know, what do you guys think?
I think quarterly. would be better.
That's,
I don't think we need it month by month, because one month it's going to be like, all of a sudden it's big one.
well,
And then the next month, it's like, nothing.
okay, to me, I'd rather have monthly by budget than going through the bills. If you're picking what's more work to do. I feel like,
I understand all of what you're trying to say, but you have to understand, you guys aren't in control of the budget.
no, but,
So I
but I
don't
just,
know why do you need to see it monthly or quarterly? Because you can't control it, you can't say you can't spend any more for the month. So what's the point of that?
to see if we're on track in terms of what we thought at the beginning of the year. When I say we, you,
Okay.
I mean, is there anything that, who could add something in if we needed to say, hey, we need 5 hydrangea bushes at the bocce court? Can we do that?
No, you have to come to me and say if there's any money that we can spend on that.
There we go.
Well, that would not be, you wouldn't be able to control that on, I see. There's 70 line items.
Right. Well, no, I don't want to see 70.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
No.
I think we're
don't wanna
saying
see
about the
70.
different.
It's not one big, you're gonna see, if I'm gonna give you a quarterly or a monthly number, you're gonna see one big number, you have no
One big
idea.
number.
You have
one
no
big
idea what
number.
those numbers go to.
That's great. One big
So,
number. is great.
and one budget's mostly salary. So it's not gonna help you.
Yeah.
Do you get to see a running total?
I see it every day.
So you can see it, so you can see like on this particular, like the 450, 505, that budget has this X amount left for the year. So I think that's what I'm trying to see, like, where is it gonna be where we have a ton of money left that we can maybe spend it on some of our things?
That's not,
Well, I just feel like, every month we spend, time on this, somebody runs this report. And prints, 7 copies for us. Do we need this? Do we need this? Like, is my thing, and would it be, to me, is it more helpful to say, hey, we're as a, whatever, we're running where we thought we would be. I mean, I don't think you do the budget, a monthly budget. You've got your expenses for the year, right? And
I go through.
I know you go through it every month, but most of our expenses happen in the spring to get the parks up, and you said.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part. There's just, for example, like, we have the carpets cleaning. Right, those are not. See a particular line item, you have to see where that line item comes from, because it's a maintenance repair line item, there's another building line item, there's. Other line items that I could take that money out of if we're running short on one of those line items, so. In order for you to say to me, if I wanted to buy the hydrants, I'm gonna find the line item, make it out.
Okay.
But backing up to, what you were saying before, is it possible for us as we go through this to say, some of these expenses are with this part, this part, this part, and this part?
Well, that's what the budget number is. So,
Okay,
five
could
oh
we
five,
group them
505
together?
is the parks budget, 301 is our recreation budget. 302 is a mini golf budget, 321 is an all budget account. So there's a lot of, we spend out a lot of different things.
All right. I was just wondering if we could build them together per park, so that we could see what we're doing as each park is.
You're not gonna be able to do it per park, because that's one particular budget. 505 is all the parks.
I got you. Okay.
I can come up with a budgetary thing, yeah, sure. I just don't know if you're gonna get out much.
I
out of it.
don't need, I'm just trying to figure out how we're doing, trying to make, I don't know what you're looking for us to go through. when we
This has
do
been
all
a part of
the-
this commission for 23 years now.
I know, and that's why I'm like, it looks like it's a lot of work, and are we doing it, is it something that's productive?
Sure.
And that's what I'm trying to get to, it's like, all right, we got an hour together. And I feel like, I know we're wasting a lot of time tonight on this, and we got a lot of things to talk about, so I don't wanna I'm just trying to find out how we can be more effective. And whether we even need this, or if you could just say, hey, so far, we've spent this. This percent of the budget, or, we're on track, or we're over, under, something that's more unusual. Things that are regular.
You're trying to get
regular.
more at like expenses that were not planned for.
Yes,
So raise and charge of the budget, right? So all this, I agree. I don't want to review all this stuff either, but I would like to know, like, what are the unexpected things that came up? Oh my God, we had something broke, right? Just the no, not that we control.
That's what a lot of these are.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of these are. So
but I couldn't tell you on
Unexpected
any of these if
expenses.
they're.
there are some unexpected expenses, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, there are expected expenses, like the mini golf, bid lumber, right? That was a capital project that we put in for. Yeah, so, that's where that is. So
Yeah.
you're seeing that we're doing that. That's from last year's budget, capital projects, so.
I'm just trying to make your life easier, and it make things that get reported more meaningful to the people who are sitting here. And if all of that, we don't need to look at this, and we don't need to look at the budget. We just need to talk about what's on the agenda, I mean, that's,
Well,
but to me, it looks like it's a lot of work every meeting for you to have the,
This is not particularly a lot of work, truthfully. We have to do bills every week. All the bills have to go into a spreadsheet anyway. They're there. Literally just thinking what the month that is for. Again,
okay, but when we're sitting here as commissioners, me looking at this, I don't feel like it accomplishes anything. That's my point, and it's like, and if you come in here and you say, and you have come in here and said, we had a pipe break and we had to fix it and it cost $3,000, that's information I think that's relevant. And in terms of,
I will do from now on just budgetary items. You don't need to know the off budget stuff. A lot of the off budget stuff, program stuff. You don't really need to know any of that stuff. What instructor we pay. When time we bought a basketball, so you don't need this stuff. So we can do it per budget. Make it a little bit, change it around a little bit and it works.
that'd be great, and I think we need more, if we get what I'm saying. And
I almost feel like we shouldn't review it at all unless quarterly, look at where we are budget wise.
I think there's
We have back,
something,
you feel like we're gonna be over, under,
I understand what you're saying, but I think I'm gonna have to review our particular, rules for how parking lot between, around and what our charter is for us. Because there may be some wording in there that we do have to review this, and I honestly can't remember that. I'm gonna have to go-
That's fair,
I'll
that's
go
fair.
through that and I can give you that.
but on Jane's point before, like. You mentioned many times, and I agree. Let's focus on on what we should really be focused on, and this stuff, which is, this is Ray's department, we don't really need. We
What-
don't need to review that.
I think, you know, as commissioners, we have to understand where the money's being spent and how it's being spent at all times. And that's one reason why these are here. But I'll go through our charter and see if there is something specific that makes us.
I like the idea of knowing this is how much money is in our budget, this is what's left, and this is what, like, how much we spent. And maybe knowing where it's gonna spend. And then we can see the declining balance as the year goes through. The account ending, I like the declining balance. Get to see what, that's it.
Well, we can see that. Okay. Anyone else? No? Okay, we'll move on. We're in the public comments section now. And I'm just gonna refer for just a moment. Did you want us to discuss or just to do a comment?
I'd like to discuss with somebody. Is it you that said that you've been thinking about this for a long time when I went to the last meeting?
We've been thinking, I have personally as director for 20 years. The commission has discussed it a few
All
different
the years
times.
I've been on it, it's been brought up
So,
2 times a year.
as I told you, the issue really is land. Right, so,
But somebody suggested a piece of land. I didn't know whether you had looked into that or not. And it was, near the transfer station.
the exchange club pond was one possibility. It would not work. After looking at the land that's behind the parking lot, it's all marsh, it would not work there.
I just thought, when I go to Florida in the wintertime, the dog parks are a good place for seniors to meet. It's a real social thing. I go over to Westbrook with them. It's a terrible park. They have all chips. You can't, when they poop, you can't tell the poop from the chips, you know, to pick it up. And there's people there that go from Saybrook. People would be willing to, down in Florida, we buy bricks, you know, to help support the parks. The parks there are beautiful. They're absolutely beautiful. But when you go there, you have the same group of people and more people, seniors, mostly senior citizens. So it's great for the seniors to sit and socialize, something for us to do. Seems like a lot of the towns have parks. We don't have one. I think we're one of the wealthier towns and we don't have one. I don't know whether you could look into, Pankowski property are just my property. And I know they have a lot of property that's going up for auction now. I didn't know whether maybe somebody could discuss having them donate a piece of the property that they're going up for auction. Or where you could find the land from. I don't think anybody's about to donate anything, so.
And land is certainly the issue for the park, for the park.
And the infrastructure, you need a parking lot, things like that.
Pardon me?
You need a parking lot.
Right.
Other app, so it's a bigger chunk of land. I know it's come up since I've been on the commission too, which is recent, within the last year, and I've talked to a lot of residents, and it's a great. Having a dog park would be a great asset for the community, especially looking at bordering towns and having the ability to let your dog off leash in a controlled environment as long as you and have the social aspect too. I know we have a strategic plan of all our parks. And there's still opportunity to potentially, probably put one in there somewhere, one of those parks. I know it's not included currently in our strategic plan, but we're working park by park. And I know it's something that we all want. We definitely all want.
Just that I look back on the minutes and I didn't see any discussion since I've been here,
Why not?
so.
The unused part.
I think I could just say you totally sold me on your argument the first time you came, because I had never really thought about it. I was recently elected, and I do think it's a wonderful idea. If we
I don't wanna say, but didn't Carl also approach somebody in town about absorbing a piece of land and they need to find.
Yes. So it's been on, I mean.
Yes, it's been brought up.
Not, just because it's not in minutes doesn't mean that we're not looking or an opportunity to, because Ray and I do have discussions with our first selectman several times a month. And we will always say that, you know, we're still interested in this, we still want this, if another piece of property is up for sale. Carl can quote me, I'm saying, buy it, you know, the town needs it, and so I don't want you to think that just because it's not in the minutes that it's not on our list.
I didn't even see my name on the list as to be, have brought it up, that's,
On the minutes from when you were here.
it was before I went to Florida, so it was sometime in October, November, I looked at the agendas and the meetings. And I didn't see,
Well, it wouldn't have been on agenda, could you?
not on the agenda, I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
yeah.
I don't see where it was listed in the meetings.
Okay.
We can look into that.
I was under the impression that there was more land, not just the pond that was there, but there was land surrounding the transfer station.
There is, but the problem there is there are vernal pools and they are protected.
There what?
Vernal pools. A vernal pool is an area of land that gets amphibians lay their eggs in the spring. Often by August it's dry, but it is a environment, a microscopic environment in which amphibians can come. Your salamanders, your frogs, your snakes go to lay their eggs and disperse after that. And those are protected. And we do, the matters are in the wetlands. Rules.
Yeah.
Okay.
Could we discuss, the land opposite of the bocce court?
On Lynn Street, are we talking about?
Main Street.
Main Street, yeah,
Park.
yeah, well, between Lynn Street and Main Street, where the bocce court is.
Yep.
On the left, and there's a big grassy space off to the right, which is huge. Where, you
So
know,
originally, we did talk about that, and part of the issue is parking there, number one, and getting dogs back there, number two. You can't park in the communication building at all. You'd have to park in the front parking lot, and then to travel your dog past all pickleball all the way back there, that's part of the issue. So,
well, is that, I mean, I don't see what's wrong with walking a dog on the sidewalk. And the people in the pickleball courts are fenced in.
I think the real issue is, parking, because pickleball, as we all know, pickleball, is very popular,
Yeah.
parking is very limited. So if we introduce dog park too, it could be,
I play pickleball, I was playing pickleball all the time, and, you know, the court can be packed, there's plenty of parking.
Yeah.
Plenty of parking. So, I mean, unless there's a concert at the Cape, and that's, you know, that's during.
Yeah.
Concert at the
that's at
Cape,
night.
you know, that's at night, that's
Yeah.
not usually, I mean, mornings, I don't see it. I would guess most people are gonna be out there in the mornings and,
morning's
You know.
pickleball's packed.
yeah, no, but I mean, you can have, the pickleball courts packed with people waiting on the sides and still half the parking lot is open.
Yeah.
So, and I think in terms of the dog park, you're talking about people coming for half hour at a time.
They usually want it in there.
Yeah, half hour, you know, not as long as pickleball players,
Right.
you know.
What kind of noises, Jenny? I put that in certain, like. Players, like,
I mean,
I've never been one, so. I don't know.
pickleball is a louder.
I was about to
kind of-
say,
it
the
is-
noise itself from
Yeah.
pickleball
I don't, I mean, I think,
disturb the dogs more than
Yeah.
disturbing pickleball.
yeah, I don't think barking is gonna be, you know, and when you look at what's around there, you've got a school, you've got, you don't have a lot of houses right there. Not a lot of residential living spaces, so.
There are the ones though, where Sherwood used to be, that
Yeah.
have, like that.
There's several there and
Yeah,
there's.
I'm just saying, you know, in the big scheme of things, it's not.
We
it's not-
can revisit that again, now
think we
that
should.
a lot of the Main Street Park has been developed. So it would give us a better idea of what is available. We can
It's
revisit
certainly a
that.
great space. I totally agree with the space. It's getting to it. Maintaining it, that is another issue. And parking in my eyes would be a big issue. Perfect world, we could
Is
have
that-
the communication part of it.
Is that something we could talk to zoning in terms of the parking, because they were like the parking professionals of town, it seems like.
We certainly could. The parking was designed for the parking anyway, so the number of spaces there is probably running more.
Yeah, once we get Bocce going too.
Yeah.
So,
But Joe, I don't know, Sue, if you want to recognize Joe, he has his hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry, John.
I just want to point it with, like, well, there's lots of people already walking their dogs. Bring them in, you see it all the time.
Well, I think we can revisit it, and I think it would be a better idea now that it's been developed and you've got full brush and everything that our last site walk was with. So we'll revisit it.
And for it to be in the middle of town,
Well, and that
it'd be
was,
pretty nice.
that was.
That was our main-
Originally, Gene, that was the main thought for a dog park there, but the design didn't really allow for it. You know, as it was, we had to get a bump out to extend the sidewalk back there.
Yeah.
So,
You and I, we can get together and we can revisit it. Okay. All right.
thank you.
Anything else you wanted to put in or? No, okay. And Jerry, do you have her full name or?
I do.
I have. Yeah, all right. I thought you did. I knew we were saying, but I just thought we better make sure. All right, now we're going to, where most of our guests are here, the new business of Little League presentation.
So Matt, I made a copy of your presentation. I also can share the screen.
Handout started, Larry.
Oh, well, there you go.
Everyone gets a goodie bag there.
There's balsa wood airplanes in there?
Bring that next time.
Lollipops too.
Is that the same thing that we were given a copy of?
It may
Oh,
be,
yeah,
it probably is.
Oh.
spare. This is laminated.
So.
It's a little nice.
The first,
That's him. Yeah, that's.
First, I know I introduced myself at the beginning, but I'm Matt O'Connor, president of Old Saybrook Little League. I've got 3 kids in town. One is a game right now. One just finished practice, so he's with me. And the other's at pre-K and good. So I'm, here all year round, every day of the week, pretty much it feels like. But as I see, you've got lots of things to attend to, so really appreciate, your time and letting us talk to me about our item we have with you today. So first, a little about us. We pick up for baseball and softball where Park and Rec ends. So Park and Rec supports T-ball, which is older pre-K kids, kindergarten, and then we pick up from there through 6th grade, more or less, for both baseball and softball. We've actually been in town here for 76 years. It's our 76th anniversary, which we're really excited about. We were one of the first 14 towns in the state to play in the first state tournament. So we've been around as long as anyone in the state as far as Little League goes, which is pretty cool. We actually had a big spotlight on us last year where one of our alumni, Connor Lane, out of Old Saybrook High School, was the Gatorade Player of the Year for baseball, which is pretty cool. As part of that, he got a check where he could give any nonprofit he wanted to when he chose Little League, which was really great. We're actually doing a league outing on Saturday to watch their last home game up at UConn to see him play. So that'll be a really fun connection to see, this kid that played on the same fields they did, now playing D1 baseball and, seeing the big crowds. So that's, we're really fortunate and excited to have that opportunity. As part of this, our registration's actually gone up 55% over the last 4 years. In that same time frame, Goodwin enrollment's down 2%, middle school enrollment's down 8%. So our enrollment didn't grow because schools grew. They grew because, especially out of COVID, kids are excited to get back outside. They see a lot of interest in baseball and softball, and they're not just 1 year and drop, but they do it and they want to keep going with it. This also leads us to why we're here today, where we have field constraints that create lots of challenges for us as they exist today. So our current field challenges, we have 4 fields that we primarily use. We have McMurray right behind me. We have baseball and softball fields at Town Park, and then the field over at Trask. We have 13 teams this season, which is spread across a little over 130 kids. And T-ball also has, I believe, 6 teams. So across these 19 teams with 4 diamond fields, we run into significant constraints. Just last week where, we had a lot of rain, we had a number of games rained out. We had to move some of our games to other towns because they had field availability and we didn't. We canceled other practices because we have to have games take priority. Just yesterday, we were talking to Taryn, and a suggestion was, Little League kids and T-ball kids practicing on this different parts of the same field at the same time, which is, safety hazard. But, it highlights the constraints we have today to try and make it all work across our teams and limited number of fields. So that's current state with the fields we have today. But that brings us to going forward. So I know I mentioned earlier was the strategic plan. I'm very familiar with it. And I also recognize the train's already left the station. It's down the tracks. While we weren't here previously, we're here today. And I think, some of our thoughts and data is really relevant so we can make good decisions going forward. So in the strategic plan, data that was referenced was from the National Recreation and Park Association, NRPA. Data in the plan was from 2020, slightly dated. The NRPA website actually doesn't list data that far back any longer. But as far as their most recent report from 2024, they highlight, and this is the same grouping from the strategic plan, that for the New England geography and populations of less than 20,000, on average, there's 5.7 diamond fields and 3.7 rectangle fields, so like soccer. Right now, we have 4 diamond fields and 5 rectangle fields. So we have current state, less diamond fields than average and more rectangle fields than average. Going forward, the strategic plan has us losing a field at Town Park. So right now there's a youth softball field and a youth baseball field. The strategic plan right now has a adult softball field only. So right now we're out of alignment with the regional average, which would be made worse going forward in the strategic plan. Also from the strategic plans, and then from that as well, the Sports and Fitness Industry Association, SFIA, they do an annual top line report. The strategic plan data was from 2019, so again, kind of dated, 5 years old. It's actually a pretty expensive report to get. It's outside the Little League's budget. So I don't have 2025's report, but the most recent data I could find from 2023, which is still 4 years more recent than what's in the strategic plan. They measured the highest national baseball participation since they began the report in 2008. So we saw earlier on a local level, we're up 55% over the last 4 years. On a national level, we're also seeing increased participation in baseball and softball. From 2016 and 2023, baseball and softball combined increased by 12.7%. So locally and nationally, we're aligned that this is a growing sport across baseball and softball. Why does this matter? So we're here, focus more on Little League, but in general, youth sports matter for many different reasons. Per the President's Council on Sports, Fitness, and Nutrition Science Board, in general, parents believe that playing sports is good for their kids' mental health, but the research backs it up. So it's been proven that playing sports lowers rates of anxiety and depression, lowers stress, increases self-esteem and confidence, reduces the risk of suicide. And then there's also physical health benefits, which should be kind of obvious, but improved bone health, weight, reduced risk of cancer. And then from a lifelong journey, playing youth sports also provides incredible benefits. You are more likely to graduate if you are a high school athlete. Improves your teamwork, social skills, learn to work with others. There are many skills that kids learn through youth sports, including Little League. So if we were to lose a field at Town Park, this would have negative impact on our ability to engage youth, keep them going and participating. They'd be more likely to drop out because of less opportunities. So while we realize there's been a lot of effort put into the plan to date, we do think there's an option for all of the great things planned for the park to exist, along with maintaining 2 fields. And that's why we're here. So Ray was kind enough to give me concept plan 3, which hopefully is still current. Our suggestion is to keep all the great stuff that's there. You know, the plan to U12 softball field, soccer fields, the playground, the pavilion, the increased parking. Our only suggestion is to rotate the adult softball field, where instead of home plate being where the basketball courts are now, to more an orientation of where the current softball field is, and add a youth softball field back where the pavilion would be. An extra softball field would be really valuable because we have 5 softball teams right now, and we have 1 field, and we don't even have softball teams at the most senior level of Little League yet. So we anticipate further growth coming for us. With a softball field, we could play softball as well as wheel in a portable mound for baseball as well. So it gives us a lot of flexibility depending on what our needs are. We also think from a safety perspective that if the adult softball field home plate is around the basketball court orientation right now, there's going to be a lot of foul balls down the third baseline. You know, windows of cars, kids getting out of cars when a ball is getting hit. A lot significantly more risk compared to the orientation is now. There's not many people hitting 300-foot plus home runs. There's an awful lot of people hitting foul balls down the third baseline. So again, we recognize the train's down the tracks, but we do think with the most recent data, you know, that were from the same sources that were input in the strategic plan, as well as what we're seeing locally in these sports, that there would be great benefits to looking to adjust a little bit, just the orientations of the fields with no impact to parking or the other infrastructure plan for the park. With that, I'll open up to any thoughts, questions that the group may have.
Matt, if a couple questions for me. Has the exploration of the middle school field and of the high school fields been sought out by Little League News?
We looked at before, and they were going to charge us an amount that was just not tenable for our budgets.
Question, when did you get that dollar figure?
Which dollar figure?
The most recent dollar figure that you got for using this, was that recent or was that like a year ago?
No, it was at least a year ago.
And then the
That
other,
field's also different dimensions than what we play on, so it's
Yeah.
not quite apples to apples.
Okay.
the other thought, there used to be a small field behind Goodwin. We could explore looking at renovating that field as well and moving our T-ball program to that, which would be more suitable for that size and age group since they're already there, and then that would also free up Trask.
So it doesn't hurt, but in today's world, we minimally use Trask. T-ball practice there every weeknight,
Yep.
and then they have all their games there on Saturdays.
Mhm.
So while it doesn't hurt to move T-ball to the other field, it kind of puts us where we are today, where we have problems. It doesn't really help us at all.
Understandable. And the adult softball field that we have planned that can be used for softball.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And the orientation listed there, I thought, is, you know, we have 2 games going on at once. And again, since it's softball field, you know, at portal mounds, they could be wheeled in and out, so we have a lot of flexibility from baseball or softball, or 2 softballs.
So one fear that I have, we all know numbers fluctuate, right? So numbers have fluctuated since the strategic plan was done until now.
Yep.
How do we know they're gonna keep rising? And the other numbers I need to look into, or we need to look into, are the lacrosse and the soccer numbers as well. So part of this, when it first was going forward, was lacrosse and soccer were really well high up there. They did not have any fields as well to use, so, and where Little League were way down. So there is certainly fluctuations. That's no fault of anyone, obviously. We all know fluctuations happen, so.
I think a positive is, we're not suggesting those rectangle fields be removed. So the amount of fields that are desired, we're suggesting they stay. I do think it helps a little bit that soccer's primary season is the fall
Fall, yeah.
and Little League's primarily the spring.
Yeah.
With lacrosse, these ages, there's ticks that draws from, I think, 6 to 9 towns.
Mhm.
It's a very different situation than, our old Saybrook Central
Absolutely.
centric Little League, where we have, over 130 kids and over 40 volunteers that support this.
And part of the plan for this, obviously, we have drawn in 2 U12 fields, but there's also our ability to make one full-size field there, which we have not had the ability to do. So, yeah, there's 2 fields that are shown here, but we could also configure the fields how if we need to make them larger. So that was part of the reasoning, the way this was. So,
Yeah, and I think, at the U14 level, there's not as many teams at that point. And especially with Rope Ferry, eventually being renovated and, fixing irrigation, that really helps out that age group where there's just not that many teams, compared to the younger groups that play on small fields.
So Fireman's Field, I know that they just took down their fence.
yeah,
They're making it grass. Is that gonna be for soccer and lacrosse? Like, I haven't seen anything in the paper. I haven't seen anything out about what they're doing there.
they've certainly taken down their baseball field, and I
So-
think their concept without, had a very minor conversation, but I think they should use it as an open field.
For what purpose? Do you think for renting out to like
They have a
techs?
purpose for it.
Are they looking to let like techs use it
I
or
don't
like
know. They don't,
travel soccer? We don't know.
they don't.
Yeah,
It's not for ticks.
not, so we don't know what. If it's gonna somebody else rent it out for like a fee to for a season, 15, we don't know. So that could help alleviate some of the traffic in town if that's open for.
Obviously, with what Matt has put here, concept 3 is what you guys approved, you just took what was on
Right.
there and flipped everything around, so everyone knows that's what that
Yep.
is, so. Which certainly does fit, but we also had a concept with the softball field in this orientation,
Yeah.
and it was the spray zone for the right field did not really fit. Where it kind of shows where it's fitting in right now, and that was done by the engineering company, so there may be some modifications if we certainly wanted to flip this around. You know,
And it's worth noting, I didn't resize the field at all or the tree line.
right,
I just rotated it.
right, exactly, yeah. So we did have one concept that looked like this
Okay.
in the very beginning. My other concern with this, with the extra field, is you mentioned fall balls certainly in the parking lot. But to have a field right next to a playground is fairly dangerous as well. Right, if you're playing, pretty much gonna take the playground out of play, in my mind, for fall balls. So,
We play on numerous fields that have that arrangement.
Close to the field?
Yeah, Westbrook and Deep River both have fields in that similar fashion.
Yeah,
But, in the original concept 3, in my mind at least, 200-pound males ripping a softball foul down the third base line where there are cars and, kids getting out. I mean, it feels like it's only a matter of time, not if, but when.
Well, having played on this field for many years as a co-ed team, it doesn't matter. We're good at hitting everywhere, anywhere, and at all times.
Yeah, but
And I was known as a long ball hitter, and I can tell you, there were a couple of times when I really had to blow real hard, hoping that ball would go away from that car. So I'm just saying.
I don't know how much nets cost, but certainly stories in the news wake people up real fast.
And there's netting at Maple Avenue that's pretty high, so, there is examples in town of that.
Yeah, I just think regardless of how we configure these things, I think we need to look at putting up netting where we think there could be an issue.
And certainly, if you recall, when we had the field oriented for the concept 3, I talked
Mhm.
about fencing down the lines for that particular reason, where the original concept did not.
Like the high school has that
And-
nice
and
big
it could-
fence behind.
Yeah.
Right.
And yeah,
Protect the house.
fencing and then netting. I don't know if
Yeah,
that's
no,
a lot
absolutely.
cheaper, but
Absolutely.
That's very
yeah,
cheap.
yeah, and then.
It's
and-
just the
and it's-
installation of the pole.
And it's white,
For sure. So I will say this, Matt, I don't know where. I wouldn't, I mean, obviously the commission has voted on concept 3. We obviously haven't started the project yet. So it's gonna be certainly up to the commission on this one, but as far as where we're at with the engineering part of it, we've just done test holes for perk tests up there. for drainage, in the parking lots where things would be moved around. So I would say at this point in time, and say this to the commission, we are certainly early enough to make a decision to change if we had to. So nothing is certainly written in a granite stone at this point in time, but you did agree on a concept.
So looking at this concept 3 plan,
And this is the revised one, this isn't what you voted on.
Right.
yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Those, the perimeter of the outfield, right?
The adult softball,
Well, what you have here for, would it interfere with those fields is my question with, because lacrosse and Little League is at the same time. And I know the Ticks, 6 towns, but they practice over Old Line. It's the only place they can practice, with all 6 towns, and they also fight for time over there. And I know, you know, lacrosse is growing, in town, and having the parking, but also the same time of year, is it gonna interfere with any of the field, lacrosse versus Little League? So that perimeter, is that a fence line perimeter? Is that where?
So I think in the concept, it was just drawn in to show the 300-foot line.
Okay.
That's not an actual fence.
That would
No.
be,
There's no outfield.
but there would
fence.
be, that would be offensive.
Technically, you could consider
Right?
it, but there'd be no fence in this field.
So not putting
No.
that, like, they have the high school, do that like temporary.
Yeah.
We could do a temporary fence if we wanted to, but
Right.
and
that,
it'd be similar impact as the one that you voted on. It still overlaps with the outfield.
correct.
This doesn't create a new
Right,
overlap.
so if this was a perfect world and we just had these as soccer fields. The soccer would be strictly fall like we do now, and then this would be pretty much a spring activity for baseball / softball here. And this one would be used, but the cross plays in the spring. So right now, they do have practice at Ferry Road. And they're sharing that with Little League as their, no, sorry, soccer club rather, as their practice facility. Soccer club plays on the weekends right now. They have a U10 game at Maple Avenue the last 2 weekends, which is not a U10 field, you know, and they played Ferry Road as well. So,
Soccer kid.
U10 playing at Maple Avenue is not that bad. He's on the U10 team. He Played there.
it's
And it
small.
works just
Yeah,
fine.
Yeah. That's good.
And where are we with the Ferry Road?
We have not heard back from the state. on that.
But the plan is to keep that,
Oh, absolutely.
you know, and improve, to only improve it.
Only improvement.
And it be used for the cross.
Yeah, it can be reused for lacrosse and soccer, but the issue that soccer club has with that field is it's not quite big enough for U12. It just doesn't reach the length parameter.
But it's big enough for lacrosse.
Not really either, you know. That's where this, we're
Right,
renovating
right,
this was to
right.
make a bigger field to accommodate them.
Have a like regulation.
Correct.
So like it's practice.
Correct.
Is
Which we
planning-
didn't have lacrosse anywhere.
So I'm wondering about
Right.
Fireman's Field, if that's gonna be a regulation size field,
I don't think that's big.
I don't think that's big enough.
so then that would be a potential practice field.
Yeah.
So you would have games maybe here, but practices.
I've been talking about Fireman Field's pretty massive.
Yeah,
I mean, it's,
It is.
That is the
You-
biggest town
you put
park.
Something together. Did you put something together?
uh,
I mean,
not for that, but I've been there. I've been there because they rented out for private parties and.
I also think about the high school, because, you know, my field hockey practice field, I have to go on grass, which is rarely, but we have the field that's like down behind the cafeteria at the high school. They have us going this way now, the football's not there, it's like a massive grass field back there.
oh, sorry.
So.
The
Yeah,
problem
there
with-
is some wetlands back there, but it's plenty big enough for you, because it used to be a regulation 100 by 60 field hockey field, or, you know, so that's where we used to play.
I think the
So-
issue is that the schools charge,
Maybe the school should,
Yeah, right.
it's the charge. it's really-
Well, I think we need.
maybe the board of ed needs
I
to
think-
get on board and help us.
I think we need to understand,
Board of ed doesn't need any more money, they always have a surplus,
I think we need.
and that's just my opinion,
I
and I'll go to Mr. Grassick and say that out loud.
Just for transparency, there is someone who is trying to speak who's
Yes.
also on the Board of Education.
No, well, what I want to understand is find out, you know, what are the restrictions of the facilities and why you know, what's the purpose of charging fees for use of the fields?
That's what I wanted
Is
to
it,
know.
is it, you know, is it because we have real costs of changing the lines on them
I'm sure.
versus, you know, and making sure somebody's there to unlock the parking lot or what?
I can tell you, I can
Okay,
tell you,
what do you
because I've tried reserving that field for alumni meetings,
Mhm.
and, Julie Pendleton used to wanna have to charge me for it. Until Jonna would talk her out of it, and we would work with Park and Rec to reserve the field as an event, and then have to register everybody to Park and Rec. So, but the town wanted to charge us for it. So I don't know why the town feels like charging to use the fields, when it's obviously for the kids of the town.
Yeah, well, that's what
That's a policy.
I think the charge,
we just need to understand.
I think it's a policy change that's happened at Board of Ed.
Well, is it, well, there might be a policy, there might not, you know, let's find out what, where these charges are coming from, is it a policy, is park costs?
Because usually they want
Is it-
insurance,
is
because
it-
I've also tried to run camps. There, and I have to, the people coming in around the camp have to have insurance.
It always comes down to the.
So even if they have the insurance, they would still wanna charge
Not everyone.
me to have a camp there.
So
Let
do
me-
you anticipate numbers to go up?
I
don't know, but.
We do
I
expect
mean,
you
there's
for
a field
softball.
right there.
So for
for
softball,
lacrosse,
we only have
soccer,
minor teams
everything,
right now,
Right there.
Yep.
but those minors
In
and
the
girls are
spring.
gonna grow up to be
In the fall, I
majors.
understand.
We have 5 teams now, we anticipate,
And feel like.
6, 7.
But in the spring.
our
no.
youngest, girl,
Guys,
no, we have one
You're
coach here.
talking and you're talking. Thank you, Karen. I was trying to.
Ray just asked me if
That
we
was-
anticipate additional growth. And I said yes, especially as it relates to softball. So softball right now, we're at, our oldest teams are minors, which are kind of 10 youth. But those minors girls are gonna grow up, they're gonna be on majors teams, so they're gonna be new teams. And we're seeing at the U8 level, our youngest, we have 30 girls, 3 teams there. You know, they're gonna be coming through and we're gonna, 5 now, 6, 7, we hope to have 8, same as baseball, and hopefully baseball keeps growing as
So
well.
essentially they have 3 more years. That
Yeah, they age out at 12.
Yeah,
Well, more like 4 or 5. 'Cause
4, yeah.
There's 6, 7, and 8 now.
Gotcha.
So.
gotcha.
Is there a cost difference between doing two?
You'd have dugouts to build and wire fencing like that stuff, but it's minimal compared to everything else out there. More of a rounding error probably for the whole parks plan.
I think
I would think, and talking about the field behind us, it was a Board of Education town,
Right.
favorite field, it's High Park and Rec field, so it's on in our purvey, like, we can't. Right, you can't just let people use that field, right, it's up to the Board of Ed, so that would be a Board of Ed field.
I was adding it to the whole Board of Ed thing, and
as
we were
part of the
having
Board
the
of Ed,
talk on it,
Fields,
because like the one
That
at
has to be
Saybrook High
reserved.
School.
you have to get a permit.
And it is a different size.
Yeah.
So
No,
as we're going through our agenda here, is there anything else you wanted to add to your presentation?
No, just curious for any next steps or additional inputs I can provide. Where can we go from here?
I think with your suggestion of rearranging the field a bit, we're gonna have to wait until we get some feedback from what we're testing that we're doing right now, and we can discuss it further. Obviously, there's nothing that's gonna happen tonight, but we have plenty of time to decide if we want to keep the design that we had originally, or if we want to alter it. But everything that we do has to go back to an engineering issue and a cost issue.
Well, I'd like to go back to Jeff as well and ask him, we've already got this concept, is what you're planning on going. What's the revert if you had to?
Yeah,
And how long, does that put us another 8 months behind? Does it put us
exactly,
not behind at all, or what does it do? So,
exactly, because we've been waiting a long time to get this done.
Yeah, and plus you guys did make a vote, so I don't know how you'd have to figure that part of it.
Yeah, so there's more than just redesigning it, but I'm intrigued by what you came up with, I really am. As far as the other issue of how many other fields we can use. I certainly, as if the commission has a consensus with this, I can write a letter to the Board of Education and ask them, what is going on, can we come together and help that we need, use of those fields, and not just walking up. I can comment on that. Yes, Jen.
Yeah, I think we've got 4 questions. It seems like it's some of this messy, but I want to make sure we know what we're talking to the Board of Ed about. So, middle school baseball field and the middle school. What do you call this?
That's the field.
Inside the track, right?
Baseball
Field.
field,
That's
we
the-
can't really use
Okay.
for a little.
But it'll be a grass field that can be used for potentially like on soccer practice or something.
Out here,
Yeah,
you could do that for out here, yeah.
is it, you know, if it's, because field hockey, I'm sure after school, they're done by like 4:30, so if you're having a nighttime soccer practice, then
You could certainly do that.
there's just no soccer goals.
Like, for example, they can't, you literally can't use the baseball.
No.
They're just the softball field. And potentially the softball field. And obviously they get first choice.
And what about
They'd
the
be
grass,
really-
and the grass field behind the high school,
Correct.
like huge grass field behind the high school, that should go
To
either
move
way.
either the soccer.
Dave, I can, you guys can work on a letter. and
Yep.
Put it together.
Yep.
And then we can do that.
Because in
Yeah.
the spring, there's potentially nothing at the high school back there that is used, the softball now goes between Westford and Saybrook. Tennis, and there's no false, with spring sport that would be for them.
And I do agree, I think some of the leagues in town have shied away from uses.
So,
Because the condition.
Fees. Fees that they have to pay.
Fields are fine, they've resodded back there, and the fields are fine.
and then you brought up the T-ball equipment. So I think, I don't think that's a bad idea anyway.
They'll probably like,
The field's
You
just
know,
overgrown now. It's-
they would probably like it to be remodeled, and
Yeah,
there was help.
And who knows what the thought process was to overgrow, I don't know, so.
yeah. I think that's worth bringing up because, I think it's a safer place to have the T-ball or
That
play.
field was age
compared
appropriate, you
to-
guys remember it, it was
Yeah.
smaller, it was age appropriate. In the back of the school, where the basketball court is. Back over there, I think the backstop's going there.
There's some kind of a monkey bars thing there too.
Is the middle school softball field something that would be able to be used by everybody? Or is it not?
Yeah,
very fine?
well, it's just a dirt infield.
Yeah.
So it's easier to change the base pass or
Gotcha.
something like
Actually, soccer,
No,
where the baseball, field, they have big soccer.
Oh, this is like everything. You're talking about the softball field.
I'm talking
From the
about
middle school.
Sorry,
middle
I'm
school
thinking
softball
back.
field, because we have the new dugouts there now.
They just put.
I'm the coach of the middle school softball.
that. The girls are coming.
Just.
They're coming.
Yeah, I just
Help me
think,
with some pitching.
Yeah.
I have one thing, I just think it's important to note, even if we rearrange T-ball, that's not solving our.
No.
I know it's 2 separate issues,
Totally get that.
because that puts us kind of in a,
But if
Same
T-ball
spot.
keeps growing, then you might have a problem 5 years down the road.
for sure.
So,
Yeah.
We average just, we average between 6 and 18. Opposite. This year we have 6. That 8 pass. We used to have 12 before. Aged out, before we moved the age brackets, not part of the league, not part of the league, just the national. league.
Do you guys share anything with Westbrook at all?
No.
Okay.
Where?
I mean, what's that?
Where,
Is there no?
Ted Lane Field?
Yeah.
I mean, but we're not merged currently with Westbrook, but.
Did they have available with you?
So I think if we, I know you guys have to vote on everything and kind of have to go back to what's going on, but. If we are able to keep a Little League field at Town Park. Not only are you helping the Little League and youth baseball. You're also able to add those soccer fields, like we said, that plan would be changed, so it's not that Little League is taking a priority. All sports would have a field to be used, we'd be able to still have a field, it's not necessarily that Little League is more important than the other sports. It's being able to have a field so that we can have enough fields to use. Currently, right now, we're struggling right now to have enough fields, so if we are able to not eliminate that field and keep a field where it is, whether it's rearranged or however that's gonna work, it helps Little League. You're still having 2 rectangle fields that could potentially help soccer, lacrosse. They could work on the timing of that, but you're also still gonna have the softball field too. So the goal here is to help Little League, yes, but the goal here is to also help all sports for all youth sports in town. I think that's the main focus here. So it's not necessarily, I mean, we can look at other areas, I think. whether it's the high school or the middle school, and we kind of keep going back and forth, but I think the main goal is to try to keep at least one field for the Little League to use and still benefit all the other sports in the city.
Matt, do you think lights would help significantly?
I love the idea of lights. My oldest, in All-Stars last year, they played under the lights in North Branford, and it was a really cool experience. Realistically, though, weeknights, during school, no one wants to keep their kid out that late
Yeah,
to have
totally.
lights be a thing.
Yep.
And we don't have a ton in the summertime where, there'd be more opportunity.
Okay.
So I think it'd be really cool, but there's probably dollars spent better elsewhere.
I did have one quick question. You guys said there's time to kind of look into it. Do you know what the timeline is before it's kind of too late for us to?
No, I don't actually. No, that's a great question. So,
Just because,
Yeah.
time could be a month.
so
time
this is
could
the
be
first
3
time we're
months.
doing this, so I don't know. That's why I need to get to Jacobson's engineering firm and find out.
Okay. As it stands, they have a current date for when this project is breaking ground? It was approved or no?
No, because we don't have funding yet. It's still got, even if we say everything we had the concept in front of us with the actual prices of everything, and it's 1.8 million.
Yeah.
It's still gonna go up bid, we still gotta find funding.
Got it.
We do have some funding in the strategic plan. We'll have more moving forward, obviously, but in a perfect world, the commission and myself want to be an October timeframe to get this done.
Of 25,
Yeah.
and then it's a 6-month project or something.
So it all depends on the contract.
Okay,
Perfect world.
thanks.
Something's ever perfect.
So Ray, just something to add.
Yeah,
On our first pitch throwout at the beginning of the year. Select committee, who was it?
Carl,
Said that there would be and he gave an exact number, $200,000 more spent this year on our town parks than ever before.
Right.
I'm not, saying it like I'm holding it to him.
Yeah.
But for him to just throw out a number like that,
well.
there's gotta be
I'm
something
sure-
behind it.
Well, I'm sure he's figuring the steep grant that we applied for Ferry Road, that was the 600. Strategic plan. Moving up. Or we anticipated to be over project. So I don't know where exactly, I can't see, well, no, but sure he's thought about both buildings.
Well, and he's also allocated for, of our revenue for.
Yeah.
That recurring fund.
There you go.
So all our mini golf revenues have. Pay for the project. Parking. That's it, from that.
That's like 250,000.
Yeah, exactly. So, you have to- I know.
That's, I have just,
Yeah.
it's a big number just to
Yeah.
randomly throw
Yeah,
out.
I
So
mean,
we'll play a lot of mini golf this summer.
Mini golf.
You're the only guy.
250 to 280,000 here. And all that's gonna be- Project is going.
So if, again, I know, I understand it's a board, all that, if, let's just say, I'm just using this as an example, that field. You wouldn't need Ferry Road in.
oh, we'll always have to do some.
No,
Ferry Road,
I'm
please.
not, I understand, cause now you could have both,
Right.
but you didn't need to.
Well.
We would
Ferry
have to
Road's a different
approve it.
animal because Ferry Road floods out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Very
because
slow.
it's on marsh.
We need to put drainage in there, the subsurface is very hard, it's classic stuff. Nothing drains through it, so that's part of why we're doing that. But Matt, listen, if that's incredible.
So for next steps, is it useful if we come next meeting, or how can we keep the lines of communication open around this?
Well, I can say for budget, I'm not budget, agenda issues, problems, we can put you on the agenda for whole business, keep it on there so the commission has it on there.
Yeah, sounds great.
On their thing, but as far as any information, I hope hope to get some feedback from them within a week, you know, for
Great.
what's going on. Yes. And that's up to you, but I certainly think on the agenda.
We can put it up there for any updates, but I mean, honestly, it isn't going to rush anything faster if we just have it on the agenda, but it will keep it in our preview of making sure that things are going forward.
Sounds great to me.
Because
and
there are
there's-
steps that we have to do and. Matter of fact, I even have to go back and look at what we approved, how the wording of the approving of the plan, original plan. It's exactly.
I don't remember the exact motion, but it was to move forward with concept 3.
Yeah, and that's basically, I want to make sure that so that we don't have
Yeah,
to
I know.
reopen it.
I know Matt made concept 3 different, maybe that's.
I should've made that 4.
You gave him the CAD file?
I wish I had. This is just PowerPoint. CAD file would have been easier.
Note to
I'll
me.
find out a little bit more from Jake, certainly.
All right, sounds good.
And we're all on the same page. I mean,
Yeah,
everybody on the commission wants the best for our kids in town. There's no doubt about that. We certainly appreciate you guys
And all the
putting
work
it
that
in
you
front of
did.
us
Yeah.
as with really hard numbers of why it's so important. And, you know, it's a big deal to lose a field when we're already short.
And I think you understand back when the strategic plan was being designed, you know, it was 3 years ago, certainly, and those were the numbers we were. had to go
March of
by.
twenty
Yeah.
twenty-one.
Yeah, so,
March of 21.
oh, absolutely, you know, and it's been a while.
And you look at his chart,
Gonna work.
41, that's, and not that we didn't know that, but.
Yeah,
yeah, now we just have the benefit of more recent
yeah,
data,
no, no.
Yeah.
it makes
local
sense.
and national
It makes
levels.
sense.
It makes sense. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and
I
again,
have
thanks
one
for
more
having
thing,
us.
Because I feel really bad for this lady sitting on the couch. With this town park, you could do a little dog park right there, right next to the parking lot. Literally. No, on the other side of the parking lot. Yeah, you could just, because I agree with her, the dog park is a huge thing too.
I know it's a dog park, right?
Yeah.
Good spot too.
All right, well, thanks for having us.
Thank you very much.
I'm gonna get this little guy dinner, if you don't mind us not staying for the rest of the meeting.
Everybody's able to.
Really appreciate everything.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you guys.
Appreciate it.
Thanks again for your time.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
So for us, Jane, you and I can get together, we can formulate the letters to the.
We're neighbors, by the way.
Yeah, that'd be great.
27. Wow. So,
We can email.
Yeah, yeah.
Would it be worthwhile for you to
Oh,
do
is
the
that right?
review?
Yeah.
I want to make sure.
I think first we start with an email and then when we hear back, then, you know. It should be a question to be answered, not really,
For your staying in town.
you know.
Oh, yeah, school side, yeah, Jacob.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right, cool stuff.
But we'll look into the. Okay, moving along to new business B, Vicky, Deputy Pavilion discussion.
I just wanted to put this on the agenda. Obviously, we had a fairly big meeting last month at the middle school.
Yep.
And let you know that, you know, I think the meeting was both positive and both negative, and that's okay. That's why I thought to the public, but I just wanted to give you, any updates that there was. I asked Carl if there was any, new updates on it. He said, no, there's no updates on voting or anything like that. He wanted to get more information to the public on the details of potential costs, like the people had asked at that meeting. So nothing's really changed with it. I just wanted to put it out, I think it's important to support you on the agenda, obviously, so.
Well, you know, I'm appreciative of all the effort that's gone into this, and it's certainly something that I think we voted unanimously on moving forward to the town. In listening to the arguments and, you know, for and against this acquisition and giving up Vicky Duffy Pavilion. I would like our town to be overwhelmingly supportive of what we choose. Because if it's 60-40.
Yeah.
And we get it, then, and then we have, you know, the level of criticism and disappointment could be pretty hard if we don't have something fabulous. And I feel like. And even if we, I think we need to focus on fabulous. Not just, hey, it's a good deal, we'd be dumb not to do it. That it's going to be really a high-end place to go. And,
Yeah, we don't wanna
There's-
just put grass down, we wanna make it look.
Yes,
Yeah.
I don't think the message was conveyed properly in that meeting, of the opportunity and the what we can potentially have there.
And
For
what was
facilities.
our citizens?
But what is being taken away and what's being given is this, okay? And it really wasn't conveyed that way. It was conveyed, we're giving up this and we're getting a field or a park. And a lot of the community that I've heard anyway, in discussing this, a lot of their concerns are things we've talked about before when we were in executive session. Very easily answered questions and concerns. And I just don't think that was really brought up at our meeting. And it left a lot of people, the majority of people that, the 50% that was there, it seemed like 50-50 there.
yeah,
Heard the claps anyway. That 50% really wasn't given the proper information. It wasn't conveyed properly.
yeah, a lot of this is a PR campaign to get people to understand the opportunity that we have if we get this property.
Yeah.
And making it, like I'm saying, making it fabulous, because we are giving up something that a lot of people do feel like is fantastic. Okay, so, I think from a business deal, that's not winning people over, like, you'd be crazy not to do that, because it's such a good deal.
Yeah.
That doesn't win over the hearts and souls of people who have all this very emotional connection to the pavilion. And if we can say, not just, hey, we'll be able to expand Gardner's Landing. I'm not sure how many people in this town know what Gardner's Landing
Parents
is.
you do, 95% of the town has never gone down there, you
Yeah.
see it, they go down to mini golf, or park their car, and they leave, they don't actually walk over there.
I feel like a lot of people who didn't come to the meeting though are the ones like me, who is just black and white. It's that property, it's green space, it's the river. Like, they don't need to tell me to be convinced.
And the alternative's scary.
And I think they realize.
Losing access to that road, because that's part of that road, the access road is part of the property. If
Yeah.
we do not acquire that property, we lose access to driving back there, because that could be closed off.
And I think a lot of people do realize that they're just not the vocal ones. They're just waiting for the
Well, I think-
whatever that.
I think, to me, we have to give the people who have the emotional, attachment to the pavilion a chance to be spoken and a chance to be heard, and not quietly, not, okay, I'll give you your 5 cents, I'll give you your 5 minutes. But at the same token, we need to be able to give a vision of what we want. And I agree with you, I don't think the April 30th meeting really put that out there. I think it was the first one, and I think we need to really enforce that there should be another public hearing with more substantial information, with a
Before-
better vision of what we say. Park and Rec, as Park and Rec, this is what we vision. What the finance board and the board of selectmen say, but we guided this. We saw that this was an opportunity to the town. We knew we would be remiss in our obligation as a commission not to bring that forward. And now we have to show the town, this is the vision that we've had. We think it can be this good. Now, there's going to be a dollar value with that.
Sure.
And we can say, we can go to this vision up here, which is absolutely fantastic. But we can do it in steps. We can have
Yes.
this and this, and then eventually in 5 years, give them a time frame. Say 5 years, this is going to absolutely be done. To my opinion, that's really how it's gonna go over. But yes, we're gonna gain 2.2 acres of phenomenal waterfront that is never going to occur again. And it's gonna cost 2.5, the access of, if it were to be sold, it's 2.5 million possibly or more. But we're getting that. we're not swapping property, and I hope everybody who hears that word land swap stops it right then and
Yeah.
there, because we're not losing land.
Yeah.
We own that land, we're just leasing the building
No,
and
no,
the.
we're not leasing the building. We are not.
Selling
leasing
the building, releasing the land underneath of it.
We're trading the
We're
building.
not selling the building.
Yeah,
There's
no-
we are trading, we're exchanging
They're buying the building.
the building. No, they're not buying it.
No.
They're getting it for
They're
free.
leasing, no.
No, they're leasing it.
Here.
No, they're leasing the land that the,
No, we keep the land, they lease the building.
We
no,
are,
we own the land, they
Yeah.
lease it from us. The building
no, not the
belongs
land,
to
just the
to
building.
the LLC that's buying it. They are buying the actual physical walls and windows
Yes.
and floor of the building. And when that, if and when that ever is destroyed,
That's on,
that's on you.
that's what I understand too.
I.
That they're buying the
let's-
building, I think, for 400,000.
No,
Well,
no,
they're
there's
not,
no, there's
it's-
no,
That's
it's
the
a-
insurance value of it.
right,
yeah.
that's the value.
that's the value of it.
But they're.
They're giving us
Conveying it, yes.
the land of the Dock and Dine property. We are giving them the building. We own the land underneath.
That's
We're
right.
leasing them the land. They own the building. We don't have. We're looking at some changes to the terminology of the lease. Sorry, of that. There will be more things to come on that. But that building will not be owned by,
No,
the
you're
town will
correct,
say
the building will not be owned, but we are not giving up the land that it sits on.
yes,
So there is no land swap.
Correct.
All right, and a lot of people thinking that's what it is.
Doesn't
Now, I know
people
it's
understand that?
technical and I know it's, it sounds like a bunch of rhetoric, but it is important.
Well, I think the main points here we want to get is, I think we list what the concern bullet points are. We have really good answers to the concerns that are there. There's a few new ones that I think we need to discuss. I know one that's come up is, is trash. We all know how clam shacks go and, trash blowing into the river, causing a nuisance there.
But people can bring their sandwich.
Yes,
Fish there.
but as a commercial entity with napkins, I was just at, I was actually a captain, whatever it is in London today, and napkins are blowing into the hurricane. Captain Scott's, which is like a Johnny Ads on there. But it's definitely a concern. I heard quite a few people mentioning that. It's, as a voter, I would be concerned too. A lot of trash blowing in there. I think there's maybe provisions Carl can work out with Kadama. Something that would prevent trash from blowing in there as much as possible. But anyway, there's a lot of points I think that we need to really focus on to provide the right vision that we have for it and answers to those major concerns.
My concerns were, and I brought it up at the board of selectmen's meeting, just the other day, and that was the septic system. It's an old system, it's grandfathered. What happens, who's going to be paying for it if the proposal of having the proposed restaurant be tapped into the old Dock and Dine septic system. I don't have the answers for that. Carl is going to look into that. And my other question was, the succession, when it becomes an LLC as we're leased out, how is that going to go on? And I heard two answers and I'm waiting for Carl to clarify. One is it can be sold to another LLC, or no, it cannot be sold to another LLC. But should something happen, God forbid, and I'm not even suggesting this to John, who's been an excellent neighbor for many years, I will say on the record, for the Dock and Dine, except for after Sandy and Gordon and so on, but, what's going to happen to him and if his family, but through probate gets it, it will stay. But my more concern with selling the lease down the road, selling that
That's
LLC.
a great point.
And I haven't heard that answer.
At the meeting, he said, and I don't know if I heard it correctly, but something about whoever it then went to, would still be governed by the original agreement.
That's what he said, but now he says with their new contract, Redwood, he wants to look into some details.
Well, if it's going to be sold, that we would have first right of refusal.
Yeah,
The town would have first right of refusal to buy it. If he ever wants to sell it or who, but you know, if his estate, if he passes away or, you know, whoever I think it's an LLC that's
It's an
buying
LLC,
it,
yeah.
you know.
He's creating
That's
that,
gonna, yeah, so that's the
So
LLC is gonna
LLC,
have.
well, LLC could be multiple things.
Yeah.
So is he a sole member LLC? So if he dies, the LLC dies with him. Is he I'll tax wise.
yeah,
Is a partnership LLC. He has a partner, whether they're 1% to whatever percent. So then it becomes in the hands of this other partner. If he's a corporation LLC, then it's different things too. So then it would be curious to know how Kadama has his LLC set up.
and that was part of my question on it, and.
So,
I
because
But
guess you
he's
do.
an individual with a number of businesses.
Mhm.
But the state planning is different if you're sole versus partnership or corporation.
So just for the record, those were my questions, and I hope, get those answers soon, and I'll bring them out forward. Yes.
Is there a timeline?
For the vote?
Yeah.
It
Or
was
just
Yeah,
any,
It's not permanent, it was tentative, I think, June 10th.
that's
Yeah,
what I
they're
thought.
looking at extending that to try and have time to come up with some more answers and to, you know, to give more time to, yeah, come up with responses to people's questions. I think a lot of people are concerned on where is the bridge group gonna go? Where are the community events that are scheduled there? I mean, you know, gonna go? When are we gonna stop taking reservations for events? Because, you know, where's yoga gonna be, you know, those kind of things and, you know, we need to, in order for this vote to pass, or, you know, what we want it to pass by, like, you know, have, of all the people that turn out, 90% of them are voting in the same direction. You know, that's why you have to have these questions answered so that people aren't feeling like they're not, that the town isn't taking serious the benefit of the pavilion.
So what dates are set now? Cause I know there was.
There's none.
There's none.
Because that's what I feel like a lot of people don't know they get to vote on it, and this is just feeding all this conspiracy that things
Well,
are being taken away, and,
Yeah,
you know, it's just not helping a lack of a vote too.
at the Board of Selectmen, they realized that, they're still formalizing the agreement. And there's a lot of detail to it that is different and wasn't even included in our discussion with us. So we need to be included, first, in my opinion, and I told, Carl that, about the formalized agreement. And exactly what it entails. And then from there, I believe we should have a really well publicized public hearing. So that people can come in and really hear, all of this.
There has to be another hearing.
And I would like us to have, be presented so that we can tell them, this is our vision.
Yes,
This is what we're thinking
Wow.
about.
I think we should be part of that.
And I know it's,
It's clearly stated here
What's that?
from 2021 in our strategic plan, our priorities for Saybrook Point. First one, incorporate, acquire, dock and dine property. First bullet point
yeah,
from 2021. This is not something new that we've talked about.
no,
And every single bullet point on these two sides, it's like everything's about acquiring that property and making.
But it's also
Yeah.
a lot of, I think we,
But this doesn't say and give up the pavilion.
It doesn't, but that was not an option at the time. Our option at the time was we want to acquire this because we wanted it to turn into that.
and this is what we would like to start,
Right.
you know,
Yeah,
emphasize.
but that included Vicky Duffy Pavilion, whatever.
It did.
Yeah, and that's the problem.
But things, you know,
Because everybody
as-
wants the cake and
as
eat
a
it.
once famous English teacher once said to me, shift happens.
Yeah, yeah,
Shift
Mhm.
happens.
Yeah, and I
So we have
and
to
I-
shift.
I'm very excited about this. I want to
Yeah.
see this go through. I wanted to go through where the town is rejoicing, and lining up to vote and, yeah, but Carl did say we have to have another public hearing before it can go to a referendum. And, you know, when thinking about June 10th, that was never, not gonna be able to really work. And then also, I think they're trying to make sure we can do, absentee ballots.
Yes,
So, I mean, we can't move forward until there's something finalized between Gadama and.
absolutely, yeah.
So, I mean, until we understand the full concept and
But we can move forward with what our vision would be on
certainly,
the
and I think
Right.
we can come up with some answers to some of the big bullet point items and concerns.
property. And I would be
And
talking.
we can come up with messages for that.
Are you going to the thing?
What's that?
Is that the thing?
I'm not joining the masquerade. I'm not.
That's what I was, you had mentioned.
I'd like to hear what the
You should
concerns
be
are.
our liaison.
I'm gonna go. I'd like to hear what everybody has to say.
That's one.
No.
It's into next second.
Yeah. You know, again, to Jane's point, like I want the town to be as excited as we were with the opportunity. We discussed, like, we're losing a huge amenity, for the town. I've had countless birthday parties and graduation parties there too. It's amazing. It's an amazing piece of property.
But shift
But-
happens.
But shift happens and I,
That's a really amazing property, great.
yes.
I can
You know,
tell
when
you,
I,
since
it was brought up-
chairman, we've written 5 letters to the Board of Selectmen on behalf of this commission to buy property
a lot of,
and to offer it.
yeah,
So-
and like the discussion of Park and Rec, like, there's not a lot of properties that have this opportunity, first time in 15 years that he's actually offered us the potential to do something.
Yeah.
Instead of selling it off to a developer, and not that we should use scare tactics, but it's a reality that you can easily sell this, and it's not gonna be low income, it's gonna be high income property, because that's the only people who are gonna afford 14 feet in the year with an elevator. And that would be catastrophic because it would interrupt our access to Gardner's Landing, the whole property in general.
Just be a mess.
It-
It'd be
There's not a lot of property to develop on the water. It's a potential to happen. It's a very likely potential. He's not gonna just hang on to it for the rest of his life. He's gonna pass it on to his kids. So it's a great opportunity, and I think it is a compromise. We all understand it's a huge compromise. But I think if we can convey it, that the compromise is worth it because what we're gaining is huge. It really is huge to own that entire piece of property, and our vision, if we convey it properly, I think people will understand.
And I think we have to be kind to the people that are, emotional.
Yeah.
And, it needs to be a kind message that is not just, it's just a great business. It's what we're going to get and what we're gonna commit to making sure that we do it A+, that we do a fantastic job developing that piece of
And
property.
preserving that.
And preserving it
For
and
future
making it,
generations.
yes, future generations and, and for, a couple of years from now, we'll be having great memories that we're all building with our families there.
Yeah.
And I think we need to remind them that this is going to be, it's such a coup to be able to do this from London Park all the way down College Street and then all up into the north of Connecticut River.
Here's what I think is working against us, though. When you look at Monument Park, and when you look at Gardner's Landing, and I enjoy these places. I don't take people who come to Old Saybrook and go to Gardner's Landing and, I'll drive by
I
and
do
I'm like, oh,
for a
that's.
moonrise, I do for
Yeah,
the moonrise.
I go to Founder's Park
Harvest
for,
Moon.
I go to Founder's Park for a moonrise, but it's not because it's gorgeous. But I do bring family to our mini golf, because we did a when I say we, I'm in town, I wasn't part of the committee. Fantastic job with mini golf. And people come here and look at what that's developed. We've got to have that level of,
I agree.
I don't know. Maybe we need the world's coolest set of swings to enjoy a river view. I don't know, or some sculpture that we put there, or something
Well-
that is not just, well, we got great curbs on the parking lot and grass. We got some hedges over here and some hedges over here, we gotta make it pretty and have pretty seating spaces.
And I think there's some research or homework we need to do, because the main concern is losing the pavilion. So the open air pavilion that we talked about with roll down sides. Chris Costa said potentially, depending on the height of the pavilion, we could have heat potentially, depending on the height that we could do. That is replacing, let's say, 65% of the people, the time frame that 3 season. That people have
Could
events
do
there.
yoga under there.
You could do yoga under there, you can have a fridge under there, it depends on those times of year, whatever those months are, but that's the homework I think we need to do in order to have some good, solid answers to some of these major bullets. And that is the loss of having parties and meetings there. I think, I mean, my vision of this open air pavilion is fantastic. I mean, the renderings were great. If you
Yeah.
open that one and it's even half the year from May until October, that's a major piece of time. Not that, we're losing those winter times, but honestly, sometimes looking on the water in the winter time is a little depressing. It's so cold and
Right.
windy.
Right,
But
and maybe that's what our homework is like, look at, somebody did send me a great email that had some other parks around the country that are waterfront parks. I mean, we can all look at, what are they doing in San Diego? What are they doing in Maine? What are they doing on Gulf Shores? That's where, Newport, I mean, what is it that's gonna be that hook? Like the Chicago bean, what do we need about, that's gonna be really special about our park at that place? That's gonna, je ne sais quoi
Yeah.
of that location.
I mean, I feel it's really centered around the Boston meeting space and activities that they don't.
So give them something.
Or we really convey the message of what we would love to have as an open air pavilion, right?
That was French. Je ne sais quoi is French.
Yeah, that's
Is-
French.
is Italian.
Joe wants to make a comment, we go, wow.
Joe, I'm sorry, yes.
Pavilion, the Mariners played that others. Where the river is, I mean, that's all abandoned area.
Maryland's Way.
I missed the question.
Mariners Way.
What about?
We don't know.
Plans another pavilion somewhere else near the river, but upstream a little bit.
We had talked about Mariners Way, like 2 years ago?
We don't own any of it.
Yeah. Well, the town didn't buy that.
Yeah.
Mariners,
We
it's all
don't
private.
look at all.
But isn't there any land up there that could be?
Well, yeah, there's 5 different owners of
Yeah.
that of that huge
We'd have to
space
acquire
there.
property. Much like the concern that came up, like, why don't we take it by eminent domain? A lot of people don't understand.
No.
Eminent domain takes a lot of,
3 or 4 years.
takes legal fees, and then we have to buy the property.
Good talk.
And that wasn't,
Just talk.
Yeah.
And then who's to say he wanted to say, well, I'm gonna sell them.
Well, I think it's getting late, so we need to
Yeah.
move on. I just wanted to make sure all of you had a chance. Sorry there, everybody,
We
you're
gotta
gonna
talk
go
about
home in the
people,
dark.
too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Gail.
I was like, just quick, please, like all these people are online, Facebook, and it's like, none of them are here online, none of them are here sitting here to ask questions or listen in our conversation. So they're all the keyboard warriors, and that's how I'm gonna finish it.
Okay,
Absolutely.
not everything is answered on Facebook, so that.
Correct. Come to the real source.
Yep. All right, so still going with new business, anything under C for other business regarding programs, facilities and personnel? Oh, but we're moving right along. Old business, all parks review.
Obviously, we're coming up on Memorial Day. We will be ready for Memorial Day in a week and a half. We did open up mini golf this past weekend. It was very busy. It was a nice weekend down there, so that was nice. And more work continues down there to get it back to opening day shape.
Jack's been working a lot.
And I just wanted to say, you like mini golf, and since Gloria really wiped it out,
Sandy,
standing, this commission really did hard work trying to design that. to
Yeah,
be
I mean-
really good.
Before and after,
Mhm.
come on.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that so much so,
I mean,
because of emotions, the
huge.
seal had to be
Where's
saved.
that? Where
And
is that?
someone bought it, and I don't know where.
I will tell you where I'll be at.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's what,
That's a gem.
that's what's, yes, that's what we're
draw.
talking about here,
Yeah,
like,
sure, sure.
You know, how much money were we making when we had the seal, and I can't even tell you, the seal with the little clown.
I can tell you.
How many people just have Jack says every time, like all day, when can I come play around the golf? He's just there like cleaning or whatever cleaning. He's like, no, come over. Yeah.
So other than that, all the parks are looking good. We'll have all our beach lines in and be ready to go. So look for good weather now.
Splashback?
The open Memorial Day weekend.
Oh. I saw people working on it because it's across my way, but that's okay. Rotary Club Peace Pole.
All right, so I didn't do this. I enlisted the help. I took the picture of my husband. He put in a mock peace pole. So I have a,
That's so real.
I know.
was like,
I like Founder's Park. I did have 2 different shots of Founder's Park. So here's like, I don't know, I have like 4 different copies.
is this the
I don't
founder?
know, ready on look at that one.
Where's this?
This is like another kind of
Okay.
vision
Where
of
is
it.
This
So,
Founders?
so
Yeah.
the parking lot's literally like right
That's
here.
my founders.
Not Founders, I'm sorry, Gardner's.
Gardner's.
Thank
Yeah, I
you.
was about to say, I'm like,
know.
Thank you, thank you.
Okay, this is
So,
Gardner.
This is Gardner, so the parking lot is off to the right. And then there's a nice bench, literally where I'm sitting, I'm sitting on a bench looking, and there's like a little, as Ray would say, a mound. There's a mound there, so it's not quite at the top of it, because it looks kind of weird with how it's
So
placed.
as you go into, I'll just give you a little, as you go, looking at the picture, as you go into the park.
Is this Founders?
Where the parking lot is, you
No,
can
this
take
is
a little
Gardner.
path that goes towards the water, take a quick left. And you're basically facing the, if this is looking at, the bridge would be over to your left-hand side.
It's right above.
Yeah, I basically drove in and I parked, you know, I didn't pull into the little parking area there. I parked and I walked in and I sat on the first bench there and I looked and I saw this nice little mound. And I could see it right in the middle there at the top of the mound. It's shaded, plenty of little benches around it. And this is just the plastic one or the PVC one that they kind of showed us. I said, I don't know, the flowers are just in a picture that he photoshopped in. But
I think it was a nice touch. by
I do
Phil.
too. I do.
so, but, I don't know.
Oh, I think that the flowers are on the tree. I'm like,
No.
We have those.
So that, yeah. And then the other one I looked at, here's this one is Founders. So as you drive up, you know, the leaf dump area and then you pull in, I pulled into the first parking right to the right there. There's a bench off to the left. And there's a beautiful couple of benches there in a really nice shaded area. So you're basically, you could sit there and look at the pool and then the river's in front of you. I figured if we're putting a pole in, I like the idea of having a.
I do too.
Love it. I don't wanna hide it.
And it's
in
already a
our-
peaceful place.
So both those locations are great. I will say this about Founders. You have to be very careful of any digging that happens.
Okay.
It's capped.
Yeah.
Cause that is, yeah,
And that
that's
is in the
kind of
cap,
close.
that's in the cap.
There's
area.
also a spot, I didn't have them do it, but to the right, like when you first drive in, there's like a little hill with like, dirt area or some, like, to the right, so it's the farthest back,
So when you drive up,
but it's not shaded and there's no benches around it, so you'd be looking at the pool and the river's behind it,
yeah,
where
I think
it's that Founders. So this one at Founders was like, there's a couple of nice benches right there,
unless we put it right next to that
and it's a
stone
shaded
wall
area.
that
So are you
everybody
saying
likes. to have a
Gardner?
boat
Yeah,
on.
and that stone wall is kind of like over here, there's
Yeah.
people sitting over there, but then I'm like, that's all in the sun, so if somebody wants to just come and sit in a shaded area.
I feel like more people would come across it in
And I'm
the
thinking, if
future.
we get up the Rock and Nine property,
That's what I
you know, a
mean.
lot of traffic, and people walking.
An
there, and
interest in it
sidewalks,
probably.
and I think a lot of people will see it at Gardner's.
That's Gardner.
So I went to Main Street Park and walked around everywhere. There's a lot of sun, there's not a lot of shade.
This would be lovely when the trees come in.
I personally like Gardner's, Founders.
Yeah,
I do too.
Founders has a lot of issues. I don't know how deep,
right.
but you can't go in, you can't plant trees.
Yeah.
Those
Okay.
things, you just can't do it.
Yeah, because then you're there and then it goes, it drops, and I was like, well, you know, but it was just another, where there's a nice view up there.
I like the area of shows that Gardner's mowing wise, doesn't affect much.
Right, and depending on what you put around it, I don't know if you put like, nice stones or something.
In
like
in the future, yeah, we
stones,
could probably make a,
And just like
stone
flowers or
wall,
something.
flowers, or we can even put another bench close.
Or they maybe make it like something like around it where you can do like the stone sitting there. I don't know.
Should we ask somebody like, Freddie, what would be good to put around it? I mean, who would be a good person to weigh in on what we?
Yeah,
Because I think that you just put a pole in the ground, but if you put a pole in the ground and maybe do
I
like.
kind of like.
Get across the street with the purple. Purple heart across the street.
Yeah.
Oh, the
yes,
sign,
Put
yeah.
a pole, like
So
something.
there's
that
a little
should be
border
around
and
it.
there's some flowers around it, very pretty.
So it'll be a nice little
Very easy to
centerpiece
maintain.
for the mound.
Yeah.
Because there's just mound there, and it's like, that would be, I think, a really nice,
I like your idea of
So this
even
is
having
natural
granite
now?
benches.
yeah.
There's a
It's
mountain
like
there,
little
yeah,
hill.
there's an actual mountain.
It's not very high, I mean, it's just a little rise.
Yeah, if you go there, it's just like this little,
I like this. Yeah,
Do we need to vote on it or?
I think we do.
That's
don't
up to
we?
you, but yeah, I would say yes, because we need to tell the Rotary Club.
And
where
they
the
did have a
location
time, they did have a time frame, they hope
But
that we
then,
would decide.
do we
before
need to
June.
vote on like how many sides we want, how many languages? Like, I think we should do as many as we,
Oh, yeah,
I don't know, like 5,
We can
Um,
basically ask for. Which is.
I don't know. I think I did a
How do you
Google
guys
search.
feel about PVC?
I like the PVC because it'll be easier to, I don't know,
well,
I don't like these.
you don't like to.
I mean, PVC is, from our carbon footprint standpoint, like when we support PVC, really bad. Like, it's like one of the worst
But
materials,
Would it
besides
sanitize
carbon.
the time and would it fade?
You know, I also look at it like, does it fit? White, in the middle of, the woods, like, I like natural.
Right.
You could replace it if it rotted out.
I mean, it fits in the culture. I don't know, Ray, as far as our theme, I know we've got blue and white signs mainly for our parks. Not that this has to fit that exactly, but,
I sort of would like that, 6 by
and
6.
white
column that's
PVC in the
pickled.
shade, is gonna grow mold. It's gonna have
Oh,
alcohol,
right, yeah,
100%.
yeah.
I would rather have a router, driftwood looking sign that they can paint the interior of the routing.
I think would personally
This is
look
just
a lot
like the
better.
final.
Yeah,
So- What do we do,
this isn't our expense. This is something anyone.
This is their.
Unless we decide to do something around it to make it more.
They simply asked for a location, which is fine.
Yeah, but white PVC, that's like my PVC fence that I gotta power wash every year, then that's on the town to power wash to make sure it's gonna look like garbage sitting there, no one's gonna go there.
I'd hate to have it as a very dark stained color. I think it should be a light, if we're gonna stain it, do it as a lighter color stain.
but we don't have to do it, they're gonna do it for us. So tonight, can we just vote for the location? And then,
I think we should bring them back in to discuss what it looks like after that. Your job was to discuss the location. And I think you
I think
exhausted
they nailed
that,
it on the head there,
and I think you need to bring them back in to get the records of the project.
right?
we should probably email her right away though. Well, let's vote.
So do I hear a motion
I'm
to
motion.
accept the location of said, somebody's gonna have to fill in the blank here,
Gardner's.
Gardner's Landing,
Full location.
it's full location. Is there a motion on the floor for that?
I move we, select Gardner's, Landing as the location for the peace pole from the Rotary Club.
Okay, do I hear a second? I'll second it. Okay, let's do it. Is there any other discussion? Discussion being that we will invite them back to discuss the type of pole and what will be on
The
it.
wording, because I know they had the wording made piece of prevail was like there. In English, Spanish, Portuguese, and Chinese. These languages were chosen based on the population within our communities of both Saybrook, Westbrook, and Levine. Our club continue to work toward promoting harmony and understanding concerns to them. So that was it was a 4-sided 4-language, but that's the languages we chose to go with.
And that's the universal saying that
Yep.
says it on all of these books.
Yes, they said they would change the saying, may peace prevail. This one says, may peace prevail on earth, is the example in their flyer.
As opposed to the moon.
But then their quoted ones.
Mars.
May peace
Mars.
prevail.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry, it must be getting late out.
It's their
I
Christian
digress.
universal message.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor and second, and any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the location of the peace pole, say aye. Any nays? Any abstentions? All right, we got that done. Is there a strategic plan parks discussion?
Like I said earlier, we had done some test pits rather on Monday. They did four. Well, they did four in one section, another two in another section. And these are vertical tubes that test saturated hydraulic conductivity and stormwater detention in the ground. So something they need to do. They have to look at what type of surface they need to put down. So that's all. That's what just got done. Do I have anything else from them? No, that was just test pits were first on their agenda. They're working on a grading plan, and he was going to check on the status of that. So I'm over there. But I will certainly, after Little League's discussion, see where this should not affect. Test pits are going to be done.
Right.
Regardless of how they think they're done. So I don't think will affect it. You gotta move forward if you want to switch.
Next kayak rack discussion.
I put that on there. I thought you guys.
Yep, I went and looked at the kayak racks. I think they're at the Public Works Department. They're about 10 feet long. Actually, I thought we could use them, and we haven't decided on that yet, but I thought we could use them for those, big long, paddle.
Paddleboard.
Thank you. Lord, it was a simple word, one syllable, could begin with it, I could not believe I came there. Yes, and because we don't have a place to store it. And I thought, I know we're gonna have a discussion with it, but I was looking at different places where people would like it, and I was thinking of Harvey's Beach.
I thought you said we couldn't launch personal. I want them at Murphy's Beach. so.
Okay. We cannot because it's in the regs or, okay. I just wanted to make
So
sure.
when you say we, like, if I wanted to bring my paddleboard to Harvey's Beach, could I do that? If I already did that? Okay, what about a kayak? Did I launch a kayak?
During the season.
And to
What?
that,
How do you
where
get
do those come from? Like that a paddleboard is a watercraft.
So we could change the
that-
rules.
You could, but I will tell you this, Harvey's Beach is a very, very busy place.
Yep.
And there'll be no way that you'll be able to park there on a Saturday afternoon. If you want to go launch your paddleboard, your kayak, your boat, whatever you want to go launch there, you're not doing it on a Saturday afternoon. It's impossible.
Okay,
And it just, we are
I
filled
I
up all
was
the
thinking of
time.
that. And the only way, I
I mean,
mean,
North Cove is just a beautiful location.
yeah,
Paddleboard or to learn how to paddleboard or kayak, right?
That's questions.
because this is very personal to me, because I have a paddleboard, I can always bring it to Harry's. So if people who left their paddleboards understood that, hey, I might not get a parking spot today, oh, well, I'm not gonna use it today.
that was, and then, we haven't had that discussion, but I was just saying that it was big enough, I thought, for a paddleboard.
Yeah.
I have. one.
Because I'm not so sure I want paddleboards stored there for more than a couple of hours a day. It's just me. I know we have, kayak over, the harbor management.
All right, if not Harvey's, we got 10 of it'll hold 10 kayaks.
The harbor management, no, I know, because the way the bars are at an angle this way, and some kayaks, the way they're built, won't be able to fit them unless you have a really long kayak. But I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna measure, because
I think it
have
really
two
boils
kayaks.
down to where we would put it, right?
Yeah. But
Modify a rack, that's easy,
Yeah,
but,
so
Where are we gonna
where are we gonna put it?
this is to be discussed in further, but I did go back
So
and I
we
did.
did have a liaison committee for kayaks, if you remember. So,
Jonah was on it.
right, John was on the committee, and that was with the Harbor Management Commission. And they went and researched several locations throughout the town. And essentially, one of them was Founders at the very end of Founders. That's a launch.
And that was one of my places too, but I,
Experience, so not. But if you were not an experienced person.
Well, you don't,
what your kayak.
well, the other one was Gardner for
Absolutely.
kayak launching, but I mean, North Cove, beautiful. And for a paddleboard, that's quite a workout.
Well, where
Just
can we
around.
put it?
So you're going up to the Leaf Dome.
Yeah.
Right, the first road on the right, up the Fountain Park. There's a gate there.
You walk it down.
The gate's open most of the time in the summertime.
No.
No.
Yeah,
So it's
so a lot of
like-
people go fishing down there.
No, you go all
They
the
go
way
fishing.
before you start going up the hill, there's a
Okay.
road on the right.
And you launch right into North Cove, right from there. It's actually really nice, and North Cove is beautiful, and you can go in between the boats.
Yeah.
Disturb the people having their wine on. the
Yeah.
But it's protected, you don't have to really worry about current or anything like that. It's a great.
there's always.
I mean,
you
that's
know,
certainly
events.
work now.
Yeah.
But I think if you look at all of our access, there's really only two, in my opinion, there's two. One on Plum Bank, which is at the end of, it's that Sea View that we own, but we have no parking. But there used to be a boat launch there. You can still technically launch a boat there and go hunting.
Yeah.
Duck hunting and stuff, but you can't park, right? So you gotta remove your car. That. Let's say you get 3 spaces there, that and it's North Cove, at Founders, the only 2 spots I think that are good for access.
And there's parking in them.
Well, no, there's a great.
There's 3
There is
parking,
parking.
there's 3 parking spots at
Yeah.
Foster.
outside the gate
Outside the gate.
It's still more than a
You
half
can't go
mile
down.
walk down that
with a
road.
car.
But, I mean, I have a kayak and I have wheels.
Yeah.
Kayak and I
So-
was in forest.
I mean, there are some other locations in town. But parking is a.
But that Maynard property on in the hill that's for sale, but
Either property was certainly discussed and. So I think it's 7 or 8 acres, something like that, and nothing down to the water. Yeah, that's why.
I know, but then my suggestion again is to approach the Barbara's son, the LinkedIn. And no, to ask him about if we name it Maynard Boat Launch or Maynard something, we put a Maynard name on it.
Into the commissions.
I'm
several years
wondering
ago
if you
to
would
ask if we were interested.
And the
negotiate a
price
price.
is very good. Exception.
We negotiate a price and offer to put a Maynard name. I think he's really happy to. Put the Maynard name on it.
The thing there is that, we looked at using it as an entrance to Oyster River. And it wasn't, the land wasn't quite right enough to go down into the water correctly. And the way the, land trust on either side of the property and the way of the road just didn't make it plausible for that, but I can relook at that piece of property again. and see
I think it's worth going in areas. The town has a surplus and we have money to spend on property.
No one's buying it.
Nobody's buying it.
Like you put a dog park there, like that'd be great.
I have to excuse myself. I gotta pick
Can
up
we
my
drive down
daughter.
there and look at it?
I don't know if you can or not.
Well,
That's a private road.
Is it a private?
Yeah.
Say, no, because you're the one place.
yeah, it
It's a
is.
driveway though.
It's a driveway
It's a
with 3
driveway.
other properties.
Yeah.
It's a shared driveway.
Private.
That's what I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not road though, it's not.
It's
it's,
a trail.
Yeah.
I'll look into it.
Yeah.
See what it says. Okay, moving along to preserve update.
I don't.
I have no.
Any other business regarding programs, facilities and personnel? No. And for the chairman's report, I went to the BOS meeting and then on what, April, whatever meeting that was, the public hearing meeting. And that was my, director's report. Liaison's report. I think you were, and we gave it to you.
I'm
on-
not using, I haven't been doing anything. Had a big lunch.
All right, I think we're getting a little.
Do we have a
bit here.
liaison, do we have a liaison on the Mariners? Right?
No.
We don't.
Do we need one?
It's not necessary, because we're not gonna require any property.
Yeah, if we were gonna require, yeah, Yeah, we'd love to have a recreation place here. Anybody else, anything you wanted to add before I ask for a motion to adjourn? Everybody say no. I do hear a motion to adjourn, don't I? Yes, somebody,
I move we adjourn.
all right, seconded, hopefully,
Seconded.
all right.
I mean, it might be. a good
Thank you,
idea to
Jared.
think If you wanna